I'm Jason Bovada, and these are my 2022 NFL Week 5 picks. Okay, we're going to start with the Thursday night game. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Denver Broncos. Both teams are coming off of a loss, NFL Week 4. I think the Denver Broncos should win this game. I'm going to take them just on a money line. I don't want to give up any points for this Denver Broncos team. I don't really trust Indianapolis Colts to win this game at all. They could cover, especially if it being 3.5. If it was 2.5, I would probably take the Denver Broncos against the spread. But I'm gonna just take the Denver Broncos on a money line. The Colts, they only have one good win this season, and that was a game versus the Kansas City Chiefs, but they're coming off of a home loss to the Tennessee Titans, and the Denver Broncos are coming off of a road loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. The next game, I'm going to have to take the Packers on a money line. Last week, I took the Packers against the spread. I think the line was basically this line. It was 9.5 versus the Patriots, and they didn't cover that game at all. And that game was at home. So with this game being in the UK in London, even though the Packers look like a home team here, this is a home game for the Packers. This will be in London. The Giants are dealing with some offensive injuries. I don't want to give away too many points for an NFL team in London. That seems like a bit much. And this Packers team is not really known for covering. They didn't cover versus Tampa Bay. I believe they did cover versus the Bears that week. NFL Week 2, but they didn't cover versus Tampa Bay, and they did not cover versus the Patriots yesterday. So I'm not going to take the Packers with 9.5 points in London. I'll just take them on a money line. The next game, I was going to hammer Atlanta Falcons +9, but I believe their running back is injured. So I'm a little worried that Atlanta is going to have to rely a little bit too much on the passing game in this game, and the Bucs have a really good pass defense. So I'm just going to take the Buccaneers to win on a money line. Obviously not going to give 9.5 points. Tampa Bay is coming off of a loss to, who did Tampa Bay just lose to? Kansas City. That was a home game. So back-to-back home games. The Buccaneers will get a few more offensive players back this week. I do like Atlanta Falcons this season. They've been really good all season. I believe they have been the underdogs in every game this season. I believe they've covered in every game this season that they have been the underdogs in. But in this game, I don't trust them going on the road to Tampa Bay without their running back. So I'm going to have to take Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a money line. Next game, the Minnesota Vikings coming home from a game in London. I feel like it seems pretty easy just to take the Vikings -7 at home, right? I don't really trust that offense. They did not cover versus the Detroit Lions, and they were losing that game versus the Detroit Lions at home. The Chicago Bears are not a good team at all, but they have a really good defense. I can't give any points with the Vikings. I just cannot. I'll take them to win the game outright on the money line, but I cannot take any points for the Vikings. I really can't. The next game will be the Detroit Lions versus the New England Patriots. This is a tough game. I'm kind of really upset with the Detroit Lions last week after giving up 48 points at home to the Seattle Seahawks and losing that game. I had some money on the Lions, and now I can't trust them anymore. Patriots coming off of a loss to Green Bay Packers also in NFL Week 4. This is just a game I'm just going to skip. I'm disappointed in the Lions this season. They were winning that game versus Minnesota on the road, and then they lost that game, and then I don't think they led at any point versus Seattle, but they gave up 48 points at home to Seattle. So I can't take the Lions, and I can't bet on the Patriots, so I'm going to have to skip that game. The game pisses me off. Next game, I'm just going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars on a money line. The Houston Texans have been covering a lot of the games this season. I believe they covered on the road versus Denver. They were like 10 points underdogs in that game. It was a low-scoring game. Houston has a pretty good defense, not the best offense in the world. I like Jacksonville, but they They just don't have that pedigree of beating teams by 8 points. So I cannot take Jacksonville by 7.5 points. It's a little bit too much. They're coming off of a loss to the Eagles. So I want to see how they perform in this game. They probably should win this game. So to me, it just makes more sense to put Jacksonville in a money line in this parlay. Next game, to me, I don't see why the Chargers don't beat the Browns by more than 3 points. Chargers kind of had a get right game last week. They came off of a couple of losses, right? So the Browns are a team that will not make the playoffs this year. Yeah, they have some injuries on the defense. I don't really like the offense. I think the Chargers could win this game easily by more than 3 points. They have a lot of players coming off of injury for their offense. So I trust the Chargers to win this game by more than 3 points. This is a good against the spread bet to put in this parlay. It'd probably be easier just to take the Chargers on a money line, but 3 points isn't really that many points. If it was like 5 or 6, I probably would stay away from it. But I believe the Chargers win this game, even if they cover with a last-second field goal. They'll just cover with but 3 points. But 3 points isn't enough. I have this line at like 5 or 6, so I have to take the Chargers -3. The next game, this line is starting to move towards the Dolphins. When I first saw it, which was basically yesterday, the lines haven't opened up that long, but I did see it at 3, and now it's a day later, and now it's at 3.5. So I don't know if this line is going up to 5 or 6. The Jets coming off of a win versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't really know what that says about them. Dolphins coming off of a loss. Tua has been ruled out of this game. They lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, but that was a Thursday night game, so they've had about 8-9 days of rest. I think with this being a parlay, you have to take the Miami Dolphins on a money line, on the road in a division game versus the Jets. The Jets are sneaky interesting this season. Them and the Giants, they kind of have about the same season, about the same amount of wins. They're kind of underrated. A lot of people are just writing them off like they're like the worst teams in the league, but I don't think they're that bad. Jets at home. I don't think the Jets win this game, but it would be interesting if the Jets did win this game. But I'm gonna put my money on Miami, even if they're losing late in the game. I believe Miami has enough offensive weapons to keep this game close and to win this game on the road on a money line. I'm not going to take 3.5 for a division game. If Tua was playing, obviously this line would be a lot higher. Maybe it would be 5 or 6. But I would probably take Miami against the spread if Tua was playing. But just because of that, I'm going to have to take Miami on a money line. The next game, it seems a little easy to take the Buffalo Bills against the spread. I believe when this line opened, it was like 12.5, maybe even 13.5, but now it's at 14, which is interesting. Kenny Pickett, I believe, has been named the starter for this game. That's going to be a tough game for Kenny Pickett, the rookie, to start in Buffalo. I don't know if there's going to be any weather in this game. We're in October, so I don't know if there'll be any weather, but Pittsburgh and Buffalo weather, not similar, but it's not going to be too shocking for the Steelers. Steelers have a really, really good defense. Buffalo Bills coming off of a win. They only won by 3 points on the road versus the Baltimore Ravens. They were down in that game. So, this Buffalo Bills offense could put up some points in that game. I believe they were down by 17 points. Wasn't it like 20-3 or something like that? But you never know. I mean, Kenny Pickett could be the golden child, right? I mean, he did play last week versus the Jets. I think he threw like 3 interceptions, so that's not really a good sign for him. I don't know if they're going to bench him in this game if he throws another 3 interceptions, because the Buffalo Bills have a really good defense, but 14 points is a little bit too high, especially to put a team like that in a parlay. Maybe against the spread, a single bet, I would take the Buffalo Bills, but because this is a parlay, I have to take the Buffalo Bills on the money line. The next game, I'm going to hammer Seattle Seahawks. New Orleans are overrated. This will be a home game for them, but their starting quarterback, Winston, I believe, is injured. Kamara, I believe, is injured, the running back, starting running back. And I believe Thomas, the wide receiver, is injured. So I don't know why they're giving up 6 points. Maybe I haven't seen some injury news for Seattle. But Seattle just scored 48 points on the road versus the Lions. And in some ways, the Lions have looked better than the New Orleans Saints this season, right? So if you're going to give me 6 points, I'm going to have to take 6 points for Seattle. If it was 7, it would be the easiest bet in the world. But I'll take Seattle coming off of a pretty good win. They needed that a road win, right? So this is not them winning at home. This was a road win. That's a good team, like, vibing type of a win. When you win on the road with your teammates, then you go on the road next week versus New Orleans. You have everyone saying, "Oh, you're the underdog again." Then you win that game, right? So I'll take Seattle on against the spread. But I'm gonna be honest. I may put Seattle in a few money line bets, just taking Seattle straight up. I think Seattle is one of the best underdogs to bet on this week, unless I'm missing some injury news for Seattle. I think Seattle as an underdog is a really good money line bet. Next game, Washington football team versus the Tennessee Titans. I don't want to take the Tennessee Titans against the spread. Washington coming off of a loss to the Cowboys last week, and the Tennessee Titans coming off of a road win, as I just mentioned about Seattle, but a good road win for the Tennessee Titans. Is this like the third road game? Am I wrong in a row? Like, didn't they play like the Bills? They lost to the Bills. And then they played the Colts, or maybe I'm missing a game. I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe I'm missing a game in between. But either way, Tennessee Titans coming off of a road win versus the Indianapolis Colts. But I'm not really too sold on the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Tennessee Titans win this game. I'm not going to give 3 points for the Tennessee Titans on the road versus the Washington football team. Washington football team has a nice little offense. You know, they play well at home. They beat Jacksonville NFL Week 1, so they could win games at home. I just like Tennessee. I like their reaction, their locker room reaction. I really like road teams wins, and then they play another road game. I really like back-to-back road games, especially if you win the first game. You know, if you lose the first game last week, it's going to be definitely harder for you to win this game. But if you win last week, there's no reason why the Tennessee Titans should lose versus the Washington football team. Next game, this may be a little bit controversy. I like the Eagles. I don't really want to take them against the spread. I really, really, really don't. I'm going to convince myself not to take them against the spread. I'm just going to take them on a money line. It's very unfortunate. I really like against the spread bets, but I don't want to give up too many points for the Eagles on the road. They didn't look too great versus Jacksonville. I believe they were losing that game. And also the Eagles in NFL Week 1, they gave up, 35 points to the Detroit Lions on the road. So I don't want to give up 5 points on the road to this Arizona Cardinals team who's coming off of a road win. They defeated the Carolina Panthers last week. I think they were underdogs. They may have been underdogs in that game, but that was a pretty good win. Is that back-to-back wins for the Cardinals? I know they defeated the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know what week that was, but I know they defeated the Las Vegas Raiders, and now they defeated the Carolina Panthers. But both of those games were road games, I believe, right? So they may have a little bit momentum behind them, or maybe they're just really good on the road. Either way, the Philadelphia Eagles, as of right now, they are either the first best team in the league or the second best team in the league. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have Buffalo still the best team, maybe even Kansas City. But this should be a good game for the Philadelphia Eagles to go on the road and prove that they are one of the best teams in the league. It would be tough for them to lose this game, right? It will say a lot about them because, like I said, a lot of the Eagles games have been pretty close. So you would expect, if they're going to have a really close game and lose a game, it probably would be a game like this versus the Arizona Cardinals at home. So I'm not going to give 5 points. I'll just take the Philadelphia Eagles on a money line. The next game, I have to take the Cincinnati. I don't know. I'm a little bit surprised Cincinnati Bengals are getting 3.5 points to this Ravens team. As I mentioned, the Ravens were leading the Buffalo Bills last week at home by 17 points. They end up losing that game. The Ravens were leading the Miami Dolphins at home late in the fourth quarter, and they gave up like 7 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So for that reason, Cincinnati Bengals, they played a few weeks ago. They defeated the Miami Dolphins. There was a Thursday night game, so they've had a lot of rests. They started the season off not so good, but they've put a couple of wins, back-to-back wins together. I think one of those wins was maybe versus the Jets or something like that. So it may not really count too much, but it's I like the Bengals getting points here. They could even lose this game by 3 points. I believe the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills game, that was only a 3-point game. So if you're gonna give me that hook, 3.5. If this was 3, I probably would stay away from this game because it is a division game. But for some reason, Baltimore's they're giving an extra little hook to the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati could win this game outright. I don't know if they're one of the best. I would probably take Seattle as far as an underdog to win, but I'll take the Cincinnati Bengals getting 3.5 here. The next game, wow, this is a tough one, right? This is a tough one because I feel like this is kind of one of those games where the Raiders go out there and defeat the Chiefs. The Chiefs coming off of a very, very impressive road game win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the week before that, they lost to the Indianapolis Colts. There were some special team problems there. I definitely can't give 7.5 points. I think people are forgetting that the Kansas City Chiefs don't really cover. They're not really known because their lines are bloated. And this is a division game. And you have to remember that these division games are not really blowouts. 7.5 points seems pretty easy for the Raiders to cover. I'll just take the Kansas City Chiefs on a money line. I'm definitely not going to give give the Raiders 7.5 points. I feel like this is one of those games that the Raiders could just win outright. But I think Kansas wins this game at home. They didn't really have any trouble with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is way better than this Raiders defense. I would say the Raiders offense and Tampa Bay offense is about the same as of last week. Raiders won their game last week. That was a division game versus the Denver Broncos. So do not sleep on the Raiders. I believe it's their first win of the season. They're now like 1-3. They lost their first 3 games. But Kansas City Chiefs are right there with the Buffalo Bills, so I don't really see them losing this game at all to the Las Vegas Raiders, who only have 1 win on this season. So I'll take Kansas City on a Monday night game. I probably shouldn't take a Monday night game. I should just, if I'm doing well on Sunday, just go to sleep and not have to sleep on the Kansas City Chiefs money line, and then they end up losing, that last leg of the parlay. So it's always tough to do separate day parlays and stuff like that. It's easier just to have all the games on Sunday. But you know what? I really feel pretty confident in the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday night. So we'll take the Kansas City Chiefs at home in a division game. Not against the spread, not giving up 7.5 points, but taking them on the money line. So this will be a 13-team NFL Week 5 bet. We're taking, this is a 13-team parlay. This is plus 14,798. We're taking the Cincinnati Bengals against the spread plus 3.5. The Buffalo Bills on the money line versus the Steelers. Miami Dolphins on the money line versus the Jets. Tennessee Titans on the money line versus the Washington football team. Minnesota Vikings on the money line versus the Chicago Bears, the Philadelphia Eagles on the money line versus the Arizona Cardinals, the Kansas City Chiefs Monday night game on the money line versus the Las Vegas Raiders, the Los Angeles Chargers -3 against the spread versus the Cleveland Browns, the Denver Broncos on the money line versus the Indianapolis Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars on the money line versus the Houston Texans, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the money line versus the Atlanta Falcons, the Seattle Seahawks against plus 6 points on the road on a against the spread, plus 6 points on the road versus the New Orleans Saints, and the Green Bay Packers. I believe that should be the first game on Sunday not at home but on the road in London. I'm gonna take the Green Bay Packers on a money line versus the New York Giants. Gonna risk $5 to win $739.92. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my 2022 NFL Week 5 picks. Cincinnati Bengals plus 3.5. Buffalo Bills on the money line. Miami Dolphins on the money line. Tennessee Titans on the money line. Minnesota Vikings on the money line. Philadelphia Eagles on the money line. Kansas City Chiefs on the money line. Los Angeles Chargers -3. Denver Broncos on the money line. The Jacksonville Jaguars on the money line. Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the money line. Seattle Seahawks plus 6 against the spread, and the Green Bay Packers on a money line. Will I go 13-0 or will I go 0-13? Let me know. What are your 2022 NFL Week 5 picks? Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? What's your lock of the week? Who's your favorite home team of the week? Who's your favorite road team of the week? And what's your pick for upset/underdog of the week? And which game are you looking forward to watching the most? I want to see what Tampa Bay does. Can they get off the ground versus Atlanta Falcons? You know, that's a huge line. I believe it's 9. That's going to be an interesting game. Let's see what Denver Broncos, can they win? Kansas City Chiefs, that Monday night game, that's going to be a pretty good game. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Raiders, that's going to be a good game. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cardinals, that should be an interesting game. We want to see what the Cardinals do there. I want to see how Miami looks versus the Jets. Can the Jets beat Miami? We'll see what happens there. Also peek into the Buffalo Bills versus the Steelers to see what Kenny Pickett does. Is he the golden child? Does he all of a sudden, throw 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions versus the Bills, or does he throw another 3 interceptions? And obviously, I want to see what happens with the Cincinnati Bengals getting 3.5 points versus the Baltimore Ravens. I am Jason Bovada. These are my 2022 NFL Week 5 picks. 13-team parlay, risking $5 to win $739.92. Thank you for watching.